Yeah, I know what I need to do here. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And we've got to test a card from Duskmourn today, Ancient Cellarspawn. Each spell you cast that's a demon, horror, or nightmare costs one less to cast. Ignore that part, that's not why we're playing this card. More importantly, whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana to cast that spell was less than its mana value, target opponent loses life equal to the difference. Y'all remember Vile Smasher the Fierce? In a much older Legacy, Vile Smasher saw a little bit of Legacy play in flex slots of things like some Delver decks or some Grixis control deck lists. Because if your first spell is something like a Force of Will or a Murderous Cut that has a high CMC or mana value, then you're dishing out a Lava Axe worth of damage for free by playing a card that looks like this. Now, Ancient Cellarspawn here has a couple of noticeable differences. Number one is there are 2 black pips here, and that may make it easier or harder to cast depending on what exactly your mana base looks like. And number 2, this is not your first spell, this is any spell. So if you Force of Will twice in one turn cycle, 10 damage to the face. And that's pretty cool. That means that something like an alternative cost Daze is giving you a shock worth of value as well. So this is Nicole's deck list. And the general idea here is to take advantage of these cards with alternative and or high casting costs. We finally broke Delve. We did it, everyone. We found a way to abuse this perfectly normal and healthy mechanic. So if we cast our Murktide Regent for 2 mana by delving 5 cards, the difference is 5. So Ancient Cellarspawn is going to be a 5 damage burn spell. And we are making it so that both Up the Beanstalk and Ancient Cellarspawn go and support not Daze, but these other cards here. So before I go into the league, I will say that I'm a little worried about this deck not having enough removal. You know, there are certain cards in this format that have to be removed quickly at all costs, and Tamiyo is more and more, in my mind, also falling into that category. And so being a control deck that only has 4 main deck removal spells means that we are not trying to control the game for a long time. We are trying to control it for long enough to kill our opponent. So conceptually, we don't want to settle in for the 10-turn game. We would like to counter a thing or two, draw a couple of cards, and then kill with 2 Murktide Regent swings or a couple of Ancient Cellarspawn triggers. We do not want to drag this game on and on. We might not have that Up the Beanstalk inevitability that we want with this few removal spells in game 1. Now, in the post-sideboard games where we can board in 4 fatal pushes, you know, we can cozy our butts, wiggle our butts into the chair, get nice and comfy, and play that longer game once we have those additional removal spells. Yeah, so let's see how Ancient Cellarspawn actually fares. I don't normally do this, but please like, comments, subscribing, that sort of stuff matters to me a lot right now. I lost a week worth of wages to the hurricane, and I need to recoup those losses. And should you need some magic cards, especially if you are going to MagicCon Vegas, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. If you're physically there in Vegas, look for this purple color. It'll be pretty easy to spot. If you're going to order online ahead of time, you can use my promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order and pick your cards up on site in a nice little package. Let's battle. All right. We have an okay keep here. I'm going to hit my land drops. I think we have 2 wastelands that can answer that. Okay. So we know what we're playing against. That can hit a painter. Am I on any surveil lands? I am on hedge maze. That's actually slightly awkward. I don't want another blue-green land here. I'm just going to play this one and pass. My plan is just to island cycle Lorien Revealed, picking up a black mana source. I don't really want to daze, and nor do I expect suspect that I am going to need to. If my opponent leads on Urza's Saga while also playing Grindstone, that is strongly telling me that they have Ancient Tomb or City of Traders as a follow-up land. I am going to need to brainstorm to save this hand. My opponent is probably about to get a Vexing Bauble and shut off my counterspells, so I am not going to assume that I can Force of Will a Painter that's about to come down. And I don't have Fatal Pushes in game 1, so I can't brainstorm into a removal spell here. I can have 1, 2, 3 cards in graveyard. I guess I could Daze to have Murderous Cut be live. I think I'm just going to accept that I lose sometimes to a Painter that is played out here and set myself up for a slightly longer game. I could also be wrong about Vexing Bauble. Sometimes my opponent won't have that in game 1, but the Urza Saga start here not lining up well versus the counter spells that I currently have. Hate this. Okay, cool. That means I'm less likely dead this turn. Don't Vexing Bauble me. Fuck. Goblin Welder. And this is a great example of how, like, having limited game 1 removal is, good God, a bit of a hindrance. Let's okay. Those are some real cards. I'm going to put back Daze and a land. I'm going to keep the Force of Will. The Force of Will can be an awkward emergency cantrip into another card, and it can be damage for Ancient Cellarspawn a little bit later. We want additional black mana here, and we're going to play a Psychic Frog and hope that I don't die to Painter. Going all in on Psychic Frog is a little scary because my opponent is a deck that has probably like 4 to 6 main deck Red Blasts of some kind. If I were the opponent, I would have attacked with these Construct tokens and see if I blocked first. Or do I just want death in 2 turns? Death in 2 turns is, I guess, reasonable. I mean, it's not great. This is now 10 immediate damage. Back down to 8 immediate damage, which doesn't change the clock. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just don't know that I win from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in graveyard. Thinking with portals here. So we play Psychic Frog. I discard Force of Will. That's now 5 in graveyard. I play a Murktide Regent to draw a card. Now I have some ability to stay alive. Not a lot. Blast here means that I am dead. A Painter also kills me. Okay. So are you just welding this out anyway? I mean, I'll block. First strike damage, regular damage. I can't not block right now at 7 life. My opponent's hand must be just garbage. That's pretty bad. So this tells me that they have Agatha's Soul Cauldron in their deck as well. They have 4 damage marked on this. I could grow this by 1, but that does not make it survive. But I can discard Force of Will, make Force of Will, leave my graveyard. Okay, so I would like to put a new Murktide Regent into play. Yeah, it looks like I can do that. What do I actually want here? I don't hate Murderous Cut. I don't hate Ancient Cellarspawn. I'm going to say that this is good enough. I will now cast a Brainstorm, put back land, Tamiyo, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to just discard this stuff. That was kind of my plan. I will fetch. I'm probably not using that last mana. Let's surveil this into graveyard. By 1, 2, 3, 5. Big Murktide, taking out all the instants and sorceries while drawing a card. I have found so many Force of Wills this game, and normally that's good. It's less good here. Am I the beatdown? I might be the beatdown, folks. Yeah, I am the beatdown. I would like to end this game next turn. Wait, but I don't have to attack this turn to do that. Yeah, I can just have lethal next turn. Let's see if we die. Fuck, we die. So this welds something like Phyrexian Dragon Engine into Grindstone. Grindstone activate. That's 8 life, so even dealing 6 damage to my opponent didn't change that. I was so close to bringing that one back after a really rough start. Null Rod for Painter is great. And signed to Memory for Painter is probably great, although Painter messes with that a little bit. Fatal Pushes are good. I can think about Surgical Extraction. I'm going to get rid of Dazes. I'm going to get rid of Force of Wills. My opponent has fast mana, so Daze falls off pretty quickly. My opponent has Blasts, and Force of Will is kind of bad against that. This gets me to 60, and then I can just think about whether or not I'm interested in something like Surgical Extraction as well. Actually, hold on. I'm going to think about Force of Will for a second longer. I do conceptually think it's bad, but Ancient Cellarspawn is in my deck list, at which point it is just 3 Lava Axe. Tiniest of adjustment of ratios in respect of that. I need a little more mana here, but I have 2 Ponders. This is probably fine. So let's cantrip for lands. We would love to see 2 lands off this Ponder. We see 1. I will accept that and pass. Welder? It is Welder. I will probably just start this game off with a Psychic Frog. rather than Fatal Push that immediately. Although Tamiyo plus Fatal Push is a reasonable turn. I would like to get my engine going if at all possible. I don't have a way to hit my land drop next turn as of right now. I accept that. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Well, I don't love the idea of my opponent having Psychic Frog, discard a card, exile their graveyard stuff on a stick. That's not great. Let's try to hit this land drop here. Hey, love these cards. Love, love, love these cards. No shuffle. Make land drop. For mana efficiency, I should fetch and play Tamiyo. I think Fatal Pushing the Welder becomes important very quickly. Yeah, so before Goblin Welder gets the ability to discard things, I think I am just going to go ahead and push the Welder. And next turn, I can play up the Beanstalk and Murderous Cut a creature while starting to accrue Tamiyo clues. This does not have haste, luckily. So I can still answer this. However, things are getting scary fast. I would love to find an Abrupt Decay to answer Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I guess let's get my clue first, because I am going to flip this Tamiyo this turn. I've drawn one card for turn. This Up the Beanstalk is our second draw. I'm fine playing this land to hedge against an annoying thing that could happen. Actually, no, I'm not going to hedge against the annoying thing. I'm going to leave Fatal Push in my graveyard instead. So I'll draw my third card, transforming Tamiyo. Yeah, so if my opponent had a red Elemental Blast, I could brainstorm in response to creature Tamiyo being targeted. But my opponent did not play in that way. They played smart, so well done there. So I can just die. No, I don't immediately die to Painter. My opponent does not have enough mana. Manual Grindstone me. It's food for all my friends. Oh god, that's so good. I'll cast this Brainstorm. Yeah. Oh shit. Oh, that's so insane. All right, this deck's cracked. Blue card's confirmed good. Oh yeah, that's fine. We'll just get another Tropical Island. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw my card with Murktide Regent and shut off your deck. That hits this artifact land in process too. Welder's not really what my opponent's looking for right now, though it has a funny interaction against that specifically, I suppose. My clue! Now, I probably don't have an artifact that's going to hit my graveyard, but just to talk about this, Goblin Welder is an artifact a player controls, so you can weld out your opponent's stuff in a pinch. This probably shuts off Ancient Tomb. I'm going to play a Frog. I think I keep both lands in hand so that Frog can live through Lightning Bolt. My opponent does... No, it doesn't matter that they don't have mana. But we can see something like an Ensnaring Bridge here. So my Psychic Frog can't even. Don't mind that. We're going to leave open Ancient Cellarspawn mana. New Tamiyo, which is a 0-power creature notably. And now I think I care less about Frog living through Lightning Bolt and more about a Surveil land towards a relevant card. Yeah, that's fine. End of turn. Let's hedge Maze. That's a redraw with some extra value associated with it. I'm going to say that that's fine. I am not bottlenecked on mana here. Murderous Cut. Let's take out the Welder. We'll go 1. We'll just use that card from graveyard. And we'll Ancestral. And is going to pick up a Painter, which shuts off my Consign to Memory. Oh, I forgot to attack with my Tamiyo first. My bad. All right, so I have Force of Will as a safety net here. Start plussing this. Pass the turn. And Ancient Cellarspawn. The Force of Will or Lorien Revealed. Gonna feel good. All right, so my opponent is getting back Grindstone, which is fine. I have a Null Rod in play. Mystic Sanctuary. So Tamiyo minus is just fair game right now. I am probably going to do that. Let's Brainstorm first. Don't hate that. Let's go land back. I think I'm fine taking out the Ancient Tomb. It sometimes gets cards stuck in hand. I think I win using either Tamiyo mode pretty easily. Let's take out this. 1, 2, throw Murktide. We'll redraw through those lands, which is fine. And I can end up doing a Brainstorm and then a Lorien Revealed shuffle at some point. So all I need is my opponent to get a card stuck in hand, which is why I got rid of Ancient Tomb. If a card gets stuck in hand, I Psychic Frog attack and have lethal. All right. So plus this, I'm going to Brainstorm and fetch first just to have some innate cards in graveyard. Put back 1. I don't know how many fetchables I have, and I'm not going to look. I'm going to put back both fetchables. 1 and 2. So I need to deal 9 points of damage. So I need to discard 8 cards for lethal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So the Murktide Regent is +1 card, counting a land that I play out. So 1, 2, Yeah. Throw these. Oh, there's Ancient Cellarspawn. That's also just another way to win. Okay, that seems good. All right, go to combat. Declare attackers. Send Psychic Frog in. Discard. Doesn't really matter. Discard. Flying. Throw the Murktides. So no blocks. Discard. That's probably enough. This leaves Force of Will available. Played a land. I have played a land. Yep, so this is fine. Then I just play Ancient Cellarspawn into Lorien Revealed, and that is lethal. Wait, that's not lethal. Not Vile Smasher. The Force of Will is now lethal. That's fine. Plus, yeah. My opponent playing any spell is lethal. That's an okay place to be. Yeah, Force of Will, Pitch Lorien Revealed, Ancient Cellarspawn trigger. And we finally found Abrupt Decay as well. So I'm most in danger of timing out here. That probably means that I want one more of these to just be more threat dense. Just trim one Tamiyo or something. I'm not going to think about it too much. This hand doesn't do anything with no black mana there. It's just not reasonable to keep that. And this is fine. Vexing Bauble. Counterspells are off. That's fine. I am planning on going pretty hard on the aggro route this game anyway, because I just don't win a prolonged game here for time-based reasons. Hithing Needle on Psychic Frog is a little annoying here if it happens. I'm just going to allow it to happen though. All right, there's a friend. Stop yielding. I would consider blocking this construct token at this stage. Call. My opponent might nuke my graveyard. I'm going to get rid of Murktide Regent. But yeah, that's fine. That's why I got rid of Murktide. You can block if you want to deny me a card draw. Yes. The Psychic Frog trades for all the Urza Saga construct tokens if I get Pyroblasted here, which I think is perfectly fine. Oh, am I actually going to get more Psychic Frog value? That's fucking sick if I do. Oh, holy shit. That's unexpected. That is very good for me. I could sit here and think about Psychic Frog versus new Murktide Regent. I think I'm just going to play a new Psychic Frog. Third land. That's fine. So, yeah. Combat. Send in, I think 6 is fine. Fetch, get Underground Sea, play up the Beanstalk, setting up a Murktide Regent that draws some cards for next turn. I am on track to kill my opponent next turn. Not time for another Fable. Yes, no longer kill my opponent this turn, but I just have a Murktide Regent to play as follow-up. Perfectly fine. That resolves. So I do not have time to think through and optimize my turns. I'm just going to try to click through things relatively quickly here. Decay is great. Back you and you. Edge Maze. Put that into Graveyard. I have better lines here. Let the record show. I'm just going to connect for 1 and pass. And hopefully kill my opponent shortly. Murderous Cut is a lot of insurance here. Don't love the multiple bodies here. That seems fine though. Blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw a card. Play a land. Fetch some land. There's an Underground Sea. Murderous Cut this. Yeah. Draw a card. Abrupt Decay is cool. Go to Punchies. Attack for 1. See if my opponent wants to block. I'll discard Ancient Cellarspawn if they do. And then I can technically Murderous Cut on my opponent's turn if I need to. The Murktide Regent attack just kills my opponent. But I'll time out if my opponent Pyroblasts Murktide Regent. Yeah, so I'll just F6 at this point. Attack with Murktide Regent. It is lethal. Very, very close game. I appreciate the juke. If I am more familiar with that deck, or if I am not recording, there is no real danger of me timing out there, but that was a nail biter. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists. And they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out. This is a little sketchy, though it technically has the ability to have 2 lands. I have a Force of Will to stop something unfair that happens in the first turn cycle or so, but I have a massive tempo hit, and if my opponent wastelands me, I just don't play Magic at all. I think especially being on the play, hands that can just play a Tamiyo or a Psychic Frog early are probably much, much stronger than this, and I'm not really excited about this hand. This Mystic Sanctuary not looking great here, but I will be keeping this one. Like, I almost want to put the Mystic Sanctuary back, hold an extra blue card for Force of Will. I think I'm going to do that. that. The goal is to ponder and hit Blackland and Psychic Frog or Tamiyo. That's good enough. I'm gonna need an upkeep stop though, because I will upkeep, shuffle with Lorien revealed, and then play Tamiyo. Let's reset this stop. I have 4 removal cards in my entire deck in game 1, if memory serves. I think I'm just gonna force that. We're gonna pitch the Murktide Regent that I don't really have fuel for yet. This would be a great daze for my opponent, and they do have it. So upkeep, Island Cycle, grab an Underground Sea, and then we get a fresh draw. Okay, we did find one of our removal spells. I don't have mana for it yet, but this is a start. Now, one of my primary problems here is that Wasteland is great against me. I need to brainstorm for another color still, and technically block a DRC as of right now, but that might not be true for long. So this will be the 4th card type. So I am not blocking that creature anymore, and I eat a lightning bolt worth of damage. I don't really want daze right now. I think I'm going to try to high roll a little bit here. We are going to try to brainstorm into green source for abrupt decay. Technically, that did find the green source that I was looking for. We're going to plus here. We're going to Island Cycle for either Trop or Hedge Maze here. I think Hedge Maze. I don't know that I need to cast Ponder immediately. Assuming I don't get Wastelanded, I'm super happy with that. Tamiyo is going to get attacked down to 2, so Tamiyo could be lightning bolted. Okay. They do have removal spells for both of those. That's a lot of selection though. No shuffle, but they did bin some things off the Surveil. So Tamiyo's going down to 2. Did that just go at my fucking face? Wow, they're ignoring Tamiyo. Unexpected. I am going to Ponder here. I might just be Abrupt Decaying and then buying back Abrupt Decay, being able to Abrupt Decay 2 things next turn if I take a land here. I'm going to leave an Ancient Cellarspawn on top and probably shuffle it away. So green-black, kill one of those. Now, do I Tamiyo plus or just Tamiyo minus get back Abrupt Decay? I think I like this. If my opponent wants to kill the Tamiyo, cool. Oh, right. That has more words on it. This is the first time that I have ever returned a green spell with it. I'll get Bayou for variety here. Yeah, I just take both of these out now. I do not have an easy answer to a Murktide Regent. I have 2 Murderous Cuts that can answer that if my opponent plays one. Oh, that's fine. Like, that Tamiyo got a 2-for-1 very easily versus my opponent. Delta's not what we're looking for. I want a threat here. That's kind of like a threat if you squint at it funny. There's some chance that my opponent has counter spells here. They have 5 cards and they didn't play out a 1-mana threat. So like counter spells, fatal push type cards are what I'm thinking that my opponent has. So we'll pass the turn here. That is unfortunately the Murktide Regent that I did not want to see. I do not have a second Surveil land. Oof. I am going to hold that for brainstorm purposes, but I effectively die in 2 hits to this Murktide Regent. I'm at 7. Delver's fine, I'll Abrupt Decay that, but I have to answer the Murktide this turn. I'll make a land drop, but Polluted Delta is dead. I am dead to Lightning Bolt. I'm probably dead to my opponent just playing another creature here. Sort of humorously, if I kept a Daze, I could have answered this, but like it's turn 7 and my opponent never hit another land drop. I don't think that should be expected. But I have to answer both of these or I am dead off of 1 draw. That is not doing it. We fell a little short there. So I would like these copies of Fatal Push and I would like these copies of Carpet of Flowers. So one thing that I'm really feeling how bad Ancient Cellarspawn is going to be in these post-sideboard games, because conceptually I want to board out Force of Will versus my opponent's deck that can bring in a pile of Red Elemental Blasts or Pyroblasts, because 2-for-1ing myself in this fashion is not great. But as soon as I do that, my Ancient Cellarspawns get like so much worse, and I'm not sure exactly how I should be handling that. I think I want to have my lands in play, and I maybe do trimming rather than cutting. Don't wasteland me? So this is a little awkward here because sometimes my opponent will just go fetch land, pass, and then my Carpet of Flowers does not ramp me any mana. I think with the brainstorm, yeah. I think with the brainstorm here, it's fine. That is probably better. Doesn't have a chance to lock me out. Yes. think I always want both of those lands. I'm going to grab Underground Sea here. Then if I want, I can Brainstorm or Fatal Push to use my mana without having to shuffle. Are we playing Draw Go, or are we going to see something like a Psychic Frog? We are going to see something like a Psychic Frog. I think I'm going to Brainstorm to start working on more cards in graveyard, not because I care about the Psychic Frog. I'm going to have 4 mana on my turn. One of that is Fatal Push. I can Murderous Cut if that doesn't work out, and I am working slowly towards Murktide Regent. I think I am... I'm actually least interested in Lorien Revealed. So yes, I'm going to make blue with this. Drop a land. Attempt to push the frog. Force of Negation. If I Force of Will on that, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in graveyard, 5 cards in graveyard. I think I Force of Will that. Try to put my own threat into play rather than just Murderous Cut immediately. I could even get cheeky and Surveil land here. I think I can get cheeky and do that. Send that to graveyard, and then Murktide. Yeah. Play around days. Now, my Murktide is not guaranteed to go all the way. My opponent has some number of Pyroblast type cards, but this is a 3-turn clock. I think it's fine to present that. And maybe I need to hold my Force of Will to protect that. And I just like use Murderous Cut and don't present a threat in the next turn cycle. But if I use the Murderous Cut, then I end up using the Force of Will on whatever threat my opponent plays. Holding the Murderous Cut in hand means that I can potentially just rip and up the Beanstalk. Small Murktide? It just dies to Lightning Bolt. I don't think I do Small Murktide. Just because we can make a play doesn't mean that it is correct to make a play. And the carpet is, in theory, going to make us more and more mana as this game goes on anyway. So it's not like hard casting a Murktide Regent is all that bad. Yeah, this is fine. I would love to find up the Beanstalk to turn the 2 expensive cards in my hand into cantrips. Wouldn't mind drawing Ancient Cellarspawn, although again, that just dies to Lightning Bolt. Don't hate it. Again, we're going to play patiently with the Murktide Regent. Just land go? I'd be fine with land go. Yeah, it seems like it is. That's an Ancient Cellarspawn. I can make 3 black mana and just play that. Treat that as a way to get Lightning Bolt out of my opponent's hand. I am fine just treating this as a 1-for-1 card. I could try to wait further and also turn this into a burn spell, but I'm not churning through my deck right now with cantrips, so don't know that that makes sense. Well, this is apparently scary enough to my opponent that they're going to brainstorm in response, so I guess that's good. Yeah, that's fully what I was expecting to do, but that's a lightning bolt that does not get pointed at a Tamiyo or a psychic frog later. No Surveil land is what I was expecting. Oh, there was a brainstorm there. Never mind. Murktide Regent's still tiny. My kingdom for a cantrip right now. I'm just going to continue to make land drops. I don't need the mana on my own turn, but sometimes I'm going to want to cast like Fatal Push or Murderous Cut or Abrupt Decay or whatever on my opponent's turn. This is fine. That is fine. That is fine. Probably Fatal Push this immediately. The DRC is much, much scarier than the Delver. And this makes Murktide Regent playable at this stage. Oh yeah. Let's say yes. Let's make 4 blue. Let's go green and a blue for up the Beanstalk. This is huge if it resolves. It does not. Do I cast Murderous Cut on Delver? It makes my Murktide one bigger. I have 3 mana, 6 mana, effectively 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana. There's an unknown card. I think I'm just going to cast a 4/4 Murktide Regent. Take the push out of the yard, leave the rest in the yard. I'm just going to save the Murderous Cut for a turn. There might be a scarier creature played out that I'm going to want to answer. Sometimes this just gets pyroblasted though. So now, do I want to take 1, 2, 3 points of damage from a Delver? I'm going to say sure. I think I'm willing to take a hit from the Delver to have a chance at drawing up the Beanstalk and cantripping, or having a chance at answering a better creature that my opponent draws. Yeah, and I can even cantrip into up the Beanstalk here. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Life total is a resource, and we're going to use it as such. This is kind of the point of the game where I wish Ancient Cellarspawn was just an Uro, though. That's not what I want. So now I will probably just kill the Delver so it doesn't deal 6 to me. We can just full price Murderous Cut that, and we'll save this Carpet of Flowers to shuffle back to a Brainstorm. I think my opponent is favored. Like, I have much more mana, but I just have nothing to do with it. Ooh, found something to do with it. We'll just select blue here. I'm most likely to draw a cantrip that I could use with up the Beanstalk. Ooh, that card is very, very, very strong. I would love to just cast a Ponder next turn and have my opponent Pyroblast that and then get a draw 4 out of Lorien Revealed. That almost certainly would win me the game on the spot. Ooh, that's not immediately giving me a drain with Lorien Revealed. Let's make some black mana though. I am fine still casting this. All right, no hard cast Force of Will there. I don't know, I can 1-for-1 my opponent while drawing a card with Up the Beanstalk. I'm now no longer gonna save this. I'm gonna play this out. Next turn I might just double spells and call that good. I don't know, I can do it in the second main phase. Have 2 mana open to play whatever card I draw off Up the Beanstalk. I don't know. I just want to wait though. So let's just try to hit our opponent for 3 and see what happens. We have so many good draws. I'm just gonna wait. Not gonna play Bayou. Oh yeah, we are just playing comfy draw go. If I find another Up the Beanstalk, I can turn this Lorien Revealed into even more cards. Lightning Bolt is fine. Under no pressure. Weird game. Deck, please. I'll put the fetch land into play. That represents a shuffle off something like a Ponder in a minute. I almost wish I had a blue-black Surveil land in this mana base. Actually, no, I wish specifically the Mystic Sanctuary was a blue-black Surveil land. The opponent was willing to play out that land. Okay, there we go. Yes. We'll make some blue. I think I'll say no to the second one. So cast the Ponder. No shuffle. Play a Psychic Frog. This is fully bait. It has resolved. I'm just going to let my opponent Pyroblast my Frog or Lightning Bolt my Frog, whatever. I have another one on top of my deck, and then we're just gonna resolve a draw 4 and win. So that is 6 damage, so we're not saving that Frog. That's fine. We can take that out on my opponent's turn. I don't have to use my valuable mana on my own turn. Let's make some mana. Excuse me. Let's cast a Psychic Frog. I'm gonna try to get my opponent to Pyroblast. I do want to fetch away the land that's on top of my library, but allowed. Let's fetch to clear. Mystic Sanctuary for Murderous Cut is now good. That just kills a Delver while drawing another card. And we don't even need to mess with our graveyard here. So kill Delver, draw a card, and now we have insurance for the next creature. I deserve a cookie for playing around this Pyroblast for so long. Frog is fine. I'll kill that on my own turn to use Carpet of Flowers mana. I guess I'm Fatal Pushing it now. Goodbye, Frog. I'm a little low on clock. I'm playing very patiently here. I would love to turn the corner on the game, but that's not quite where we're at. That's not bad. These stupid Carpet of Flower clicks are wasting a lot of time. Cast Frog. Turn 19. Delver's fine. I'll get rid of that on my own turn to use Carpet of Flowers mana. Pyroblast my Frog. Yes! Black mana. Attempt a draw 4. Have Murderous Cut available for if my opponent flashes. Yeah, that's why we played around that Pyroblast for 12 fucking turns. If the next game goes like that, I almost want Thoughtseize to be able to take a Pyroblast, but I think it is very unusual that, like, I will know that a Pyroblast is there that I need to play around. I'm in this really awkward position where I think both Ancient Cellarspawn and Force of Will are bad in the matchup, but I don't really have good things to do in their spots. Like, Thoughtseize on the draw is not great, Days on the draw is not great. I think I'm treating Ancient Cellarspawn as something that taxes Lightning Bolts. Hand looks good to me. I'm going to do some lazy F6ing through my opponent's turns, which is going to give them a little bit of information that I don't have Force of Will, but clock is a real concern. I am not playing a fast deck. I'm playing a deck that can go fast, but against Pyroblast deck, it is not going to be very consistent that I am as fast as I could be. This is awkward because, like, I would in theory like to Surveil in this turn cycle, but then that forces me to use my next fetch land. Slightly awkward. I think I'm going to do it. I have multiple graveyard oriented cards that I care about. Yes. This turn I'm just going to play up the Beanstalk though. I think playing Psychic Frog this turn just lines up too poorly versus Lightning Bolt, Unholy Heat, Pyroblast sorts of things. Playing up the Beanstalk means that I can hold my fetch land for a turn longer and not expose that land to Wasteland immediately, which I think I am down with. Ponder into Abrupt Decay? I think I like that. You could make an argument that it's Abrupt Decay into Ponder so that if my opponent Pyroblasts a Ponder specifically, they don't get Surveil value. But then it's Dazeable. Bolt going away, which is great with double Psychic Frog sitting right here. And we are just gonna take this out immediately. So I have Murktide coming, I have double Psychic Frog coming. I have a Murderous Cut that I can use to answer an opposing creature. I'm kind of hoping not to answer opposing creatures though, if I am being fully honest. So play Frog number 1. I think I'm just gonna jam a second Frog here. I would not do this if clock was not a concern, but clock is a concern. I'm just gonna have 6 here. Take my little bits of value. Lightning Bolt can kill a frog. That I don't mind. I mind a little bit if I lose both frogs. No reasonable block there. My opponent has a Murktide. Then this is a great murderous cut moment. Ooh, even better than I thought. So cast Beans, which will get a Force of Will from my opponent's hand if they have one. Cut, target Murktide Regent. We'll play around Daze. Draw a card. Wow, they let up the Beanstalk resolve. Sure. So I'll play my own Murktide Regent next turn. This is scary though. Oh, I'm not gonna play my own Murktide Regent next turn, am I? If I take all of this, I die to Bolt exactly. So I need to make a Psychic Frog fly. My opponent can Bolt the frog here. I take 11, go to 3, which means that I need to kind of deal with both of these. I don't technically need to deal with that, but I'm very close to having to deal with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Would I like to attempt to draw 2 cards to help me through this situation, or would I like to hold 1 Psychic Frog back? I think I would like to draw 2 cards. I can potentially just chain together a bunch of stuff. Force of Will's not great. Underground Sea's not great. So discard this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The same in play or discard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Draw. Play Tamiyo. I am, in theory, alive. A sorcery kills me and punishes the Psychic Frog attack. That doesn't kill me? Alright, we're shoving. So block that, jump that, in theory take 1. Dead to Lightning Bolt, but that was already true. I'm at 3 life. Very dead to a Price of Progress. Ooh. Alright. Well, cast. Draw 4 cards. Is Psychic Frog fuel. So I don't have time to sit here and math this out exactly. I'm going to make 1 larger Psychic Frog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This now lives through Lightning Bolt. This is going to be 2, 3. This is going to be a 6, 6. We put 2 things in front of Murktide very easily. Let's keep making this one bigger. I think at this point I need to just always yield to triggers. Am I the beatdown? Blocker, blocker, blocker. Not dead to this. I probably just have lethal in the air next turn. If all my things can attack, this might be forced to attack. I think I'm just going to hold back. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't. My opponent can't Lightning Bolt, can't Pyroblast. Yeah, this got weird. That's not great. I will Brainstorm. Put back 1 and 2. Make a land drop. Draw a bunch of cards, worth 4 cards, is really good as far as Psychic Frog goes. So can I attack with this? For this, I have blocker, blocker, I have blocker for this. I think I can attack with one of these. Send it on in. Oh, it's weird if this lets the Harbinger block and my opponent has Lightning Bolt though. Fuck. I don't have time to think about this properly. All right, draw a card. Pass turn. I can also grow my Murktide Regents by 2 at instant speed. That's good for me. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this Psychic Frog has to be blocked or it's lethal. My opponent only has blue mana. Brazen Borrower is a thing that could kill me. I think I win if I swing out. I don't have time to do good combat math though. So let's swing out and see what happens. Oh fuck, I'm supposed to make this one fly. I can grow this by 2, and I would like to do so. Discard, fly, yeah. Triggers, 21 seconds left. Well, we're winning. We're taking every second of the clock to do it, but we are winning. All right. Opening hand seems reasonable here. We have a turn 2, up the Beanstalk. I have a Daze as a little bit of insurance versus a combo deck of some kind. I am going to take some amount of damage from that creature in the short to medium term. Let's play the fetch land so that I can't easily be wastelanded, although the fetch land potentially does grow the Nether Goyf. Sometimes I can Hedge Maze, Daze Hedge Maze again. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not really interested in picking up a land right now. I would Daze to stop a Psychic Frog caliber card. Nether Goyf's a little annoying for my deck. I have 4 removal spells, and Nether Goyf can come back later. That fetch land means I'm getting hit for at least 2. I don't know that I can get Hedge Maze, though, and have this get dazed. I'm going to float a mana and daze that. I'm going to end up taking 3 from the Goyf then. I think I'm going to Island Cycle and do tapped Hedge Maze for my turn. I'm going to take 3. I'll be right back. All right, go to 16. Yeah, I'll play that instead. Those cards are whatever. Gotta ponder anyway. Nether Goyf's a little annoying here. There's a good Nether Goyf with 3 card types in graveyard for that first attack. So we're gonna kill that Psychic Frog, and hopefully, I'm just gonna kill it now. Hopefully, I end up being able to get set up. I have powerful cards here, but with 4 removal spells in my deck in game 1, I'm just not set up for success versus the infinite Tamiyo Psychic Frog decks of the format. Like, my raw removal count is just not keeping up with my opponent here. I think my plan is bait a counter spell, potentially using this, and then try to set up a Murktide Regent that is larger than Nethergoyf for next turn. I think my opponent has a daze. Okay, I mean, we baited out 2 counterspells that turn, taking 4-ish damage this turn, while my opponent gets a clue. Please don't Psychic Frog. Fuck! So many threats. So I am going to brainstorm here. Okay, it is a Murktide Regent. Put back you. Cast Murktide. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like how I did that. I think I was supposed to leave Abrupt Decay in the yard to Mystic Sanctuary, get Abrupt Decay back, use Abrupt Decay to answer Psychic Frog. And I was thinking about Hedge Maze to Surveil instead, which I think is just the wrong line of thought. All right. That's awkward. That just comes back. But I probably need to Force a Will it. I wanted to save that for another turn down the line. Yeah, I think I really messed this one up. Up the Beanstalk? Not good either. It's not bad. We'll take our redraw here. Awkward. Can't cast this. I'm going to accept that. I will Wasteland my opponent. Make it harder for them to bring back Nethergoyf. I need more flying blockers, and this is not doing that. Obligatory block is right there, and then my opponent cracks the clue and kills me. So that's junking the hand to Psychic Frog, and I die. If I answer this Psychic Frog, I probably get another draw or 2. Getting 1 card deeper would get me to land if I didn't do this. That one, it was possible that was winnable, but it was going to be an uphill battle all game. So kind of like I've been doing, just 4 Fatal Push in every single time, and then it'll be some number of these cards out. I think I have been settling on ya. So another thing that I don't like about Ancient Cellarspawn here is that by having black symbols in your deck, it makes it much harder for you to do something like play basics while actually casting your cards. That's a thing. You know, Ancient Cellarspawn still has 2.5 rounds to prove itself, but as of right now, the dream is not lining up, and all I want is my Fatal Pushes in game 1. Like, holy shit. All right, what you got? Fatal Push. Fatal Push. Off a basic as well, so my Wasteland is no good. I can safely Brainstorm here without being dazed. Yeah, yuck is my evaluation of this situation. Allow me to play my Carpet of Flowers while my opponent controls basic Swamp. I'll get a Trop to do that. I have no removal, I have no card advantage, I have minimal interaction versus things that my opponent can play. I can potentially Wasteland them off blue if they don't get a basic island. That resolves. Good job, Carpet of Flowers. Kind of punished for keeping Bayou. I was keeping Bayou to respect black here. That didn't work out so well. Hey, Carpet of Flowers does stuff. And I can technically play a Murktide Regent to get in the way of Tamiyo and Nethergoyf. Wasteland looking pretty bad right now, though. Ancient Cellarspawn looking pretty bad. Second Murktide Regent not looking great. Thank you, deck. I'll make a blue. So we'll go blue, 1. I will, I guess, take the Brainstorm out. I can potentially try to leave it to put a counter on the Murktide and the more other Murktide, but that 4th point of power might be relevant on the next turn to keep the Nethergoyfs from freely attacking. I think it's worth removing the Brainstorm immediately. So they are attacking. What trick do you have? Given what I have seen, I have not seen Reanimator stuff, so Troll Cycle doesn't make sense. Is a Nethergoyf just worth a Lightning Bolt to you? Instant is in there. Land is in there. No Psychic Frog to discard things at instant speed. Okay, that's fair. I still think I take that block. Okay, so yes. I'll make some blue, I guess. I was supposed to make black. What am I most threatened by of these two? I think the raw cards. I think I'm going to Fatal Push that. Replay a Murktide Regent around days. I just don't have time to deploy this. And even if I did deploy it, you know, a few points of damage off of this just simply is not relevant versus the Nethergoyf that is beating me to death. I think I'm an edict away from losing this game. Also a little bit of tension between Carpet of Flowers and Wasteland. Yeah, that gets to hit me. Ugh. I'm gonna make black this turn. I am going to play this card, try to wait a turn, draw an answer to a Bowmaster, and then ponder next turn. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait one turn on this ponder. If I go for a multi-block on the Nethergoyf, how bad is that? It's a blowout. I might already just be losing to removal though. All right, fetch land available. Double block? I hate everything about this game. Oh, okay, that's fine. They're veiling away a fatal push. Fatal pushing this. Yep, thanks, I hate it. Yes. Blue, green, colorless. Oh, that doesn't leave me with any black if I tap like that. So do this with green and 1. Get eaten fucking alive by Bowmasters. Yeah. No sweeper here is rough. Have I made a land drop? I can Murderous Cut, draw a card, be at 7. I don't think this quite does it. So I'm at 7, facing down 7 power if I kill Bowmaster. Another Ghost just come back if I kill them. So if my opponent has... No, they do have the 4th land. I can kill this, be at 7, take 4, go to 4, kill the token, go to 3, get killed by Nethergoyf coming back. I don't think this is good enough, despite being very good. I think I'm just gonna throw in the towel here. GG's. My love-hate relationship with Hedge Maze continues. Turn 1 ETB tapped land, turn 2 Brainstorm. I don't think that's where I want to be. Double Ancient Cellarspawn is also pretty rough. Opponent is apparently a fan of the channel and has a funny deck, so that's great for us. Yeah, after a mulligan to 5, I can't just like keep this and hope to force of will with it afterwards. I think I am keeping Tamiyo, Murktide Regent, and hoping the first couple of cards do something cool. Badlands, Thoughtseize. Rip Tamiyo. Probably interested in Hedge Maze. I don't know what I am pondering for, specifically within the context of my opponent's deck, but I almost certainly want a Tamiyo Psychic Frog or up the Beanstalk, so I am going to look for those cards. Yes. I'm going to leave up the Beanstalk on top of my library and put Daze in hand. I do not want to Daze. I may have no choice in the matter. Ancient Tomb. I'm going to say that that qualifies as no choice in the matter. That's very good value when I'm already down a bunch of cards. Now I will draw up the Beanstalk and I will shuffle away the land that I don't want. I can potentially just Murktide Regent and try to go aggro here. That's resolving. Inti. Sure. I believe that I already uploaded the Saw in Half Goyf deck list. The Ancient Tomb Rakdos mana base is a little rough. Yeah, I am into that. Then the question becomes, do I just nuke this now or do I play up the Beanstalk? I think I nuke that now. I think with Beanstalk into Murktide Regent as my next 2 turns, 1 for 1ing my opponent and not letting them do discard nonsense is probably good for me. You get that one. Have I mentioned the fact that I would really fucking love having Fatal Push in my deck in game 1? Murderous Cut versus drawing Wasteland, for whether or not I make the Tropical Island land drop first. So, this is my opponent's big turn. This is the turn where they could do something broken, like play an initiative creature or cheat a Demigod of Revenge into play or some shit like that and pull ahead of me. That's worth a card here. And I get 1. Fuck! I'm an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. 1, 2, 3, and 4? I don't think I get to wait another turn to play up the Beanstalk first. It's really good if I spike the land though. But I think that's greedy. Leave black open. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take 1 land out of the graveyard. Oh, that has Menace, so that gets through. Opponent's going to have some options here. There's some stuff that can just absolutely punk me. What just got sacrificed? Is that just a treasure token or something? So, let's redraw. So awkward. It wasn't that far away from, like, Murktide Regent, grow it by 3, kill opponent here. So my opponent can activate Broadside, attack for 6, throw a Broadside at me, or I block here, I get hit for 4, throw Reflection, throw Broadside. It's already lethal, even through this blocker. I'm just going to hit my opponent and see if they mess up. So this is 6 incoming damage, with lethal coming shortly beyond that. So that's throwing the Fable, and they didn't even need the second Broadside activation. Yeah, like, not having these game 1 is such a deal breaker. Okay, beyond the Fatal Pushes, I can think about Null Rod and Consign to Memory, and I guess Thoughtseize. I don't know if my opponent has, like, 1 Vexing Bauble and it's an Urza Saga tutor target, and their mana base is super strained, or if there's just 4 of those. I think it's more likely that there's 4 of them. Days, Ancient Cellarspawn, Force of Will, I think continue to be my worst cards. I think I'm going to do something that looks like this. Not sure about Null Rod. Null Rod is just competing in terms of mana slots with this stuff. They did show me Trolls. I should have thought about Surgical Extraction a touch harder than I did. This is a nope. I don't love this. I'm going to get rid of Abrupt Decay here, which is a little weird. I think I want to Force of Will pitching Days and be able to transform Tamiyo relatively quickly here, or at least have the option to do so. And I don't want to have to Force of Will. I could let it resolve and then brainstorm back my 2 counter spells. All right, Abrupt Decay came back, which I'm ultimately happy about. I really need a fetch land here. Okay, I did find one. Force Days goes back, transform Tamiyo, plus Tamiyo, pass. Technically with the ability to Fatal Push, although it's awkward, because for different reasons I want green, black, and blue off of this land if I have to Fatal Push immediately. So we'll see what happens here. Boo! Boo! I'm gonna get Hedge Maze. Land? I think I'm okay with land. Alright, so Tamiyo gets shut off. Ghost Vacuum. Sure. Actually a little annoying. Let's try to win this game with Tamiyo. So let's unlock this. Honestly, Tamiyo minus Get Back Abrupt Decay is not bad. I am going to do that. Ghost Vacuum is currently tapped. This gives me green mana and another mana. You can have one more card out of my graveyard. I want to get this established. Ancient Tomb doing a ton of damage to my opponent here. So are those for color fixing for Chrome Mox, or are there reanimates and animate deads to get them out? Fuck. Yeah. That pretty much does me in. Tamiyo pluses for 2, so like Tamiyo and Magus of the Moon poke each other forever. But I think we're just dead to the Magus. I am okay expediting things and giving my opponent the match win there. GG's. No initial mana source here means that this is a no-go. I mean, yeah, I'm going to keep this. I think I'm going to get rid of the Force of Will and try to keep 2 Murktide Regents and work towards playing Murktide into Murktide as my long-term plan. Sure. And somewhat aggressively Daze against something like a Tamiyo. I have so few removal spells in my deck. I don't really want to counter that. I just end up going back a land, and it's great if my opponent dazes back, yeah. So we'll Hedge Maze with this land, work on sending things into the graveyard to try to resolve Murktide Regent. But I think this is literally the 5th round in a row where I was just wishing that I had game 1 Fatal Push just desperately. But I don't remember if we've actually done any points of damage with Ancient Cellarspawn yet. So I'm going to play a Tamiyo and pass the turn. And we're going to hold Brainstorm as Fatal Push protection rather than trying to immediately transform Tamiyo. Opponent fetches. Awkward. Ooh, opponent was bad with their sequencing. So if they wasteland this land, I can't brainstorm to save this. Like, they could just change phases and then get this in, like, beginning of combat or something, but that's not what happened. Nice. We'll put back, like, Wasteland. Tamiyo transforms, and so now we save 2 points of life by brainstorming later. We did play around Fatal Push on our own turn, so while we would love the Tamiyo to stick around, this is not bad. Do I want to Murktide Regent into Daze? I think so. If I Wasteland, my opponent will probably have another land drop, and then I'm not actually playing around Daze later. So I think we're just going now. Fire it off, hope for the best, get punished. No regrets. I'll take a little damage there. Apparently opponent does not have more land. Sure. I am going to cast this Brainstorm here. It is an inefficient Brainstorm. I have literally no idea how to play this. I think Wasteland goes on bottom. And then, I don't know, hide up the Beanstalk. Imagine that I'm losing Murktide. I am. I'll go to 13. Now I'm going to play up the Beanstalk, draw Wasteland, Underground Sea. I believe that is worth taking a little bit more damage from Nethergoyf, and then we can Abrupt Decay that, and my opponent has so little mana remaining that it coming back is probably not a problem. The most annoying thing here is if my opponent has another land and then drops another Nethergoyf or a Tamiyo this turn, but that didn't happen. I also think I'm going to wait a turn on Murktide Regent. Like, I really want to cast Murktide Regent. It does stop Nethergoyf, but a counter spell on the Murktide Regent would mean that I'm getting hit for more damage, and I do not want to get hit for more damage. So let's just take that out. New Nethergoyf. That's fine. My Murktide, in theory, beats that. I wish I had another Surveil land, but I don't. So Decay and Brainstorm are necessary. I think I'm going to pay an extra mana into this to leave some more stuff in graveyard for later. It means that if I draw a 2-drop, I can't immediately play it, though. Yeah, this is the counterspell that I was talking about playing around previously. Watching a Daze. Unsure if I land cycle that. It is really tough for me to take 2 hits for 4. It's also just like very tough for me to cast this card. I'm gonna hold it. Hey, blue and black. That doesn't currently block the Netherglyph. Not effectively anyway. Don't do it. Sure. I'm at 5. I'm not dead to Netherglyph, but if my opponent attacks with all of this, oh, fuck, that does it. That is lethal. Let's board in our copies of Fatal Push for the 5th round in a row. Fatal Push is in, Carpets in, Dazes out, 1 Cellar. I'm just gonna do 2 fucking Cellarspawn out. Sure. Hand's not perfect. I have so many different colored pips that I care about. I think I'm going to go Trop Ponder. I would love to see 2 lands. Negative. I see 1 land. I'm going to say that that is good enough for me. So I have Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm if my opponent does something that I want to stop. I don't want to stop that badly enough to use 2 cards on it. So land drop, first cast Carpet of Flowers. Okay, it resolved. Then I think just Fatal Push here. Take out the Tamiyo. I don't really want to play Psychic Frog and have that dazed when I just have the ability to play my most important cards around Daze for the remainder of the game. What about that, Tamiyo? Why can't I Force of Will pitching Ancient Cellarspawn? Why is that not allowed? I think that happens and I use Force of Will to protect my Psychic Frog. Wish I had a blue-black Surveil land here. I am not going to fetch. I'm fine drawing the Murderous Cut. Yes, make blue, make frog. I can technically fetch and Murderous Cut if I would like, but that makes my removal spell dazable. I don't think I am into that. I am going to Force of Will that. Pitching my Brainstorm. At this point, I think I Murderous Cut the Tamiyo. I don't think I can give my opponent a card here. We'll leave a Fatal Push in there. All right, did not get dazed. Punish with Psychic Frog follow-up. Negative. Also could have been punished with a Brainstorm follow-up. That was a shuffle, though. Hot damn. All right, let's put this fucker into play. Let's put it into play. I believe it is correct to just Brainstorm it away. I think it's a bad card. But let's put it into play. Let's give it a chance. Next turn, we'll Brainstorm into Murktide Regent, deal a gajillion D damage, and do a jig. Fetch, Fatal Push. Oh, shit. It's like living and shit. That's cool. Petty Theft? I mean, I'll fire this off in response, I guess. Oh shit, it's Murktide Regent. Yeah, I have to put 2 of these back so I can't Force of Will this and deal a gajillion D. Would you like to ping me, or would you like this to stop this from attacking for a turn? You would like to ping me. Okay, yes. Make blue mana. Murktide Regent. Blue, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. A 1 more. So Ancient Cellarspawn triggers. Come on! Alright. So my opponent goes from 16 to 12, taking 6. I will attack them for 3 if they chomp with the Orc Army token to just gain 3 life. Going to 9. I will play a Tamiyo that is unimpressive. So I know that my next card is Force of Will. So my next draw is a dead draw. I can still accumulate clues though. My opponent takes no damage. Not interested in cracking a clue right now. I might be interested if something very scary goes on the stack and I want to try to get into a blue card for Force of Will. But as of right now, like just attacking my opponent for 3 is perfectly fine. Oh shit, that's great. I'm just gonna hold Force of Will for Ancient Cellarspawn though. Like when I know that my opponent doesn't get to fight back over it. It's a lot of damage. Not quite lethal, but damn close. There was a win from Ancient Cellarspawn. So we did that. But I think that was more from my opponent running out of gas than anything else. No changes to the plan. This is some slightly awkward mana here. I think I'm just gonna keep it. Psychic Frog backed by a counterspell is in theory good. Okay, don't mind that. I'm gonna get the tapped Mystic Sanctuary out of the way here. If one of my lands gets wastelanded, I want it to be the land that only produces 1 color, so this is fine. Taking 1 is okay. This actually represents a decent amount of damage. On the surface, if I counter this, it's the same amount of damage next turn, but in actuality, my opponent is pretty likely to play an instant and sorcery within the next turn cycle or so. I don't think I'm gonna fight over this. That makes it harder for me to be wastelanded. That's good. I think a Daze is going to beat me. So the way I see this playing out is I play Psychic Frog, my opponent attacks into it, I block a bunch of stuff, Fatal Push it, I Force of Will, they daze me back, and I'm dead. Veil throws a Thoughtseize into graveyard. I will Hedge Maze here, almost certainly just putting the card that I find into my graveyard. Yeah, I have no time for that right now. Good news, I have no time for it, and I found another. Psychic Frog. Brainstorm in response. I'm in play. Discard Ancient Cellarspawn. Discard Wasteland. Your days. Oh shit. I will discard one more card here. I think it's the land. Then I win combat. Okay, that's annoying. Doesn't kill my Psychic Frog, but it makes my Up the Beanstalk that I've kept look a little silly. I think I need to play this card. I think that is worth the 2-ish damage that represents. Nice. So we're holding back Psychic Frog defensively to stop Nethergoyf. I think that's the wrong land to pick. I don't want to cast cantrips anyway into the Bowmaster. And I think black removal is what this is about, right? The Fatal Push style cards. I have Murderous Cut from Murktide Regent. Oh, it's another fucking one. Sure. Is that the best way to use that card? I guess I have 2 cards in hand. Yeah, I guess it is. So if I cast Murderous Cut on a Bowmaster, I go to 5, my opponent has a 5/5 and a 4/4, and I am nearly dead. I think I'm just passing the turn, hoping to draw a Fatal Push to take out a Bowmaster, and then do cool things. My opponent can also just shove all of their creatures sideways at some point and overwhelm my 1 defender. Oh my god. Yeah. No, my opponent can just turn everything sideways next turn, and that is very much lethal. And I don't have any go-wide sweepers here. Well, we learned some things this league, that's for sure. All right, so what do we think of Nicole's deck list? Honestly, minus the Ancient Cellarspawn, the list is not bad. As soon as you have 4 Fatal Pushes in this main deck, this deck is great. Because not only does that mean you have addressed your biggest game 1 weakness, but it also means that you get 4 other sideboard slots. Ancient Cellarspawn doesn't really work well in this deck list. And I think I'm going to go with emphasis on this deck list. So this is not a standalone threat. This requires you to still have some of this stuff in your hand. But with how the game plays out, you would often want to just play a Murktide Regent prior to this in order to stabilize your board because you have so few game 1 removal spells. So what's functionally happening is I have this card in hand, but I'm incentivized to ponder it away, brainstorm it away, play it too late so that it's not having its real impact. If the game stalls out for some sort of ensnaring bridge-based reason, this can be a cool finisher, but it's easily the least powerful thing in my deck. It's not serving as a shield for my other creatures because Tamiyos and Psychic Frogs are eating the opposing removal spells, and then like, if this is the thing that survives, that's not even necessarily good. And it's not like I can just play this before the other stuff most of the time due to how mana curves work out. I can't overstate enough how awkward the black pips on just this card were. That put some strain on my mana base. I 100% want specifically a blue-black Surveil land in this deck. Mystic Sanctuary is a way to reuse your few removal spells. I don't know that you need Mystic Sanctuary. Like, it's kind of cute with Murktide Regent to pull something else out of graveyard, but Mystic Sanctuary entering tapped is a little awkward when you do have Dazes returning lands and some things that aren't actually islands like the Wastelands and Bayous. Ancient Cellarspawn is also basically the only card in the deck that really requires you to have a 3rd land in play. Like, you would like to have around 4 mana with this deck to be able to play 2-drop in a turn, but Ancient Cellarspawn requires 3, and often means for your turns to be good, you need 5 mana to do a 2-mana thing, and an Ancient Cellarspawn or an Ancient Cellarspawn followed by a Murktide Regent before your opponent can just like lightning bolt it or whatever. Passing the turn with Ancient Cellarspawn is so bad. Like, spending 3 mana on a card that does not immediately get value is just not where you want to be in Legacy. Ancient Cellarspawn, thumbs down. Thumbs up if there's 4 copies of Fatal Push in the main deck instead, and maybe some very, very slight mana-based tweaks. Another thing to think about here is Blood Moon. The deck is constructed with 1 basic land as it currently stands. It could be constructed with more basic lands if Ancient Cellarspawn leaves. Not sure if it is correct to do so, or maybe there should just be a couple of Dismembers or something that can answer a Magus of the Moon. That I would need more reps to tell. But I think this was an enjoyable and intricate league. I will say that the matches took a long time on average, so I don't know that I want to recommend something like this or a long event like, say, Eternal Weekend. I don't know that I want to be grinding that hard with a Bug Beans deck when I could just be winning faster with a blue-black Reanimator Shell. So just food for thought in terms of tournament stamina here. All right, that was legitimately fun for the most part. I hope you all enjoyed. Should you need some cards, toamagic.com, promo code ThrabenU to let them know that I sent you. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!